a purge. Wyno, they call me the scourge. Don't give a damn about their words, yeah. Long as my money don't curry, yeah. Long as my money don't fold. Don't get these women no gold. Don't spend too much on the clothes, unless you buy in the stove. Sip out the flag when I sip on this crack, and the proof I said could burn a dragon. Girl that I'm with me, she thick as a genie, so I rub it like Aladdin. Fly as a carpet, fly like a Martian, calling plays like a schmadding. Ayy, calling me sexy, I know that she want me, and I gotta have a bad one. Bad little baby, she dark skin. She be in bougie apartments, putting her hands on my garments. Ask me for money, no comment. Hey, I give her burns from the carpet. She's in my G like a spaceship. That means she never get car sick. Beat that kitty like I'm heartless. Beat that kitty like a marsh pit. Running the game just like aces. Most of you suckers is garbage. I'ma get back to the basics. Y'all just be looking like targets. Bag full of ice where my heart is. Y'all just be looking like targets. Bag full of ice where my heart is. This what I'm calling a purge. Wyno, they call me the scourge. Don't give a damn about their words, yeah. Long as my money don't curry, yeah. Long as my money don't fold. Don't get these women no gold. Don't spend too much on the clothes, unless you buy in the stove. Sip out the flag when I sip on this crack, and the proof I said could burn a dragon. Girl that I'm with me, she thick as a genie, so I rub it like Aladdin. Fly as a carpet, fly like a Martian, calling plays like a schmadding. Ayy, calling me sexy, I know that she want me, and I gotta have a bad one. Pour me some liquor and chill. Clacking this all in my duffel bag. Told me she feel like I'm real. I don't know nothing about none of that. I just tell her make it jump. Nobody core got that bounce back. I just give her what she want. Ayy, and she running like a damn track. ESO liquor and Netflix. 3 of the things on my chat list. Family, money, and the anime. Mess with these things, then you must have a death wish. ESO liquor and Netflix. 3 of the things on my chat list. Family, money, and the anime. Mess with these things, and you must have a death wish. You must have a death wish.
Yondo.
We never been afraid, sparking my minute maid. Hey, hey, move like a renegade when it come to me getting paid. Hey, hey, tired of 9 to 5, so your boy had to innovate. Yeah, yeah, tired of 9 to 5, so your boy had to innovate. Let it resonate. I got the power, man, like I'm Luke Cage, but I'm moving like Nicholas. Running like Wicker Man, if they ask me, man, they talking ridiculous. They got the Zaxby's, get a 2-piece if they wanna be chicken shit. I put the body in catacombs. I've been a king like Steven. Catapult enemy, bag of bones. I wanna be even. They wanna hit me with salt. Watch how I use it as season. Minding the vault, yeah. Trolling my street for no reason. Thanks for the clout. Got a few followers now. And now I got me some haters. Watch how they run in their mouth. Tennis shoes on their teeth. I just put them on the beat. How they feeling, rest in peace. How they feeling, rest in peace. I'm screaming after metal. And I'm steady getting better. Yeah, clown suckers wanna try me. I just be teasing like cheddar. Oh, please get a clue. You fools, please stay in school. Oh, these boys wanna hate me. There's 100 in queue. Hit these boys with the low screen till they shit turn blue. And that's an Elder Scrolls reference if you suckers don't know. I mean, you suckers don't know. That was a little mistake. Like when your papa forgot the condiment, went on a date with your mama. A little personal sorry. That shit just turned into Mari. Faster than Ferrari. Look. Don't.
What's cracking, everybody? It's your boy Squid Wyno, aka King Calamari, aka Daddy Tentacles, and you know what this is. This is a brand new build video for the Murkmire patch. First off, I do want to apologize. I did not put out a build video for the Wolf Hunter patch, and that was because I was away on some military training, so I was obviously unable to play as much as I would like to play. But I'm back, and I got a brand new build that I'm very, very happy to show you guys. Ultra Instinct Defense Hist God, super long name. Obviously, I took the inspiration from Dragon Ball Z, right? So if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, you'll really, really like this. Hopefully, we'll see, right? So I am doing things a little bit different. As you can see, I am running a staff now. After much thought, after a lot of testing, and people telling me, hey man, you need a swap, man. Go from dual wheel, man. Dual wheel is not the move anymore. You got to move to mass. I don't make moves based on what people, what people say, but after testing it for myself, I have found that lightning staff is preferable. But right here, I am running the Master Inferno staff, not the lightning staff. That's not by choice. That's not by design. I just don't have the Master Lightning staff. And so the Master Inferno staff is working out quite well. However, I do think best in slot for this build probably would be the Master Lightning staff. If you don't have either one of these staffs, if you don't have a Master Inferno staff, you don't have a Master Lightning staff, I highly recommend not running a Willpower Fire staff, but instead running a Willpower Lightning staff, right? To give you that extra maximum magicka, right? And so now we're going to talk about the sets that we're running. So we're running Innate Axiom on the body. We're running it on the chest, waist, legs, gloves, and feet, right? So we're running all 5 on the body, which is great. So we have that buff up the entire time, which is really, really, really solid. Ideally, you want to run in-pin on at least 5 pieces. You can run 2 sturdy pieces if you block a lot, or you can just run all 7 of your body pieces can be in-pin, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine as well with that. The next set and the piece that kind of ties this all together is bam, Steadfast Hero. Solid set. A lot of people might have already seen this set, looked at this set and thought, hey, this would be great for a pocket healer, but never thought about this as, you know, as maybe an effective way to run it on an offensive build. Trust me, this is a perfect way to run it, right? This is an excellent set. You can run it with any offensive. As long as you're running an offensive set, you can run this build with it, right? Gives you physical resistance, spell resistance, and maximum health. Those 4 pieces are excellent, right? There's no bad things. You always need physical resistance, spell resistance. That's always great. People are hitting extremely hard, and people are starting now to build for penetration because they know that the meta is like heavy armor right now again, because the nerfs, you'll see a lot more heavy armor builds because the nerfs to shuffle. And really, it's not really a nerf because it does reduce AoE damage. So I guess it's not a nerf against the Templar because our jabs are AoE. So if you're running medium armor, you might be decently tanky against the Templar because our jabs, our main spammable is an AoE ability. So just a heads up for that. Anyway, when you cleanse a negative effect from yourself or an ally, you gain major protection for 5 seconds, reducing damage taken by 30%. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. That means it has a 50% uptime. And the benefit of this is it's a defensive set that can be backbarred. So we have seen a couple offensive sets that can be backbarred. We have seen some resource sets like Lich that can be backbarred based off of a proc, right? However, this is one of the first defensive backbarrable sets that I've seen that I really felt was really interesting because it pairs so well with the Templar, right? And we're looking at a 50% uptime on major protection. That would allow you essentially to drop Pirate Skeleton and run and you could run this build in light armor, right? I am wearing heavy in this particular build because again, this is like a more defensive 1vx setup, but it's got plenty of damage, obviously, with the Innate Axiom, with the changes to Crescent Sweep now being magic based and the increase in damage. But we'll talk about some of the skills and skill choice in a second. But again, really solid set. Let me show you what the proc looks like. Get the proc real quick. Come here, cuz. All right, I'm about to see why they call it Ultra Instinct as soon as I get a negative effect. Did they not put any negative effects? Come on now. Huh. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Sexy. Sexy. Little fire thing, right? Anyway, so let me just kill these people real quick. There we go. Pull it back some. All right. So as you can see, that's what the proc looks like. Hence the name Ultra Instinct. You get a nice little purplish glow. Pretty cool, right? But we're going to talk about why this is effective in light and heavy armor. I'd say currently now Cyrodiil is extremely, at least on Xbox NA server, it is very zergy. It's been that way kind of since Somerset, but it's just got increasingly worse. The damage has gone up. Builds are hitting harder. Yeah, in all honesty, heavy is not a must, but it's starting to go that way. It is starting to go that way. However, this set, because it offers you that major protection, you can run this in light, right? You can run this in light. It's not going to save you from getting zerged down. Like if it's 7-8 people, you're not going to be able to survive against 7-8 people in light. And in heavy armor, in all honesty, 1 CC, 2 CCs, you're still going to be dead. You're just prolonging the inevitable. But heavy gives you more of a fighting chance than light does. However, the good thing is, because we're running in at Axiom, it's craftable, right? So simply, if I wanted to go from heavy to light, I would just swap all these pieces to heavy, right? Or I'd swap them all to light, right? And it's just as simple as that. No problem. Pretty solid and easy swap out, easy to do, cheap. Steadfast Ward, Steadfast Hero is pretty cheap right now, even though it's a brand new set, because everybody's going after that spell strategist. You can, if you're running heavy, then you can run Valken, because heavy gives you probably enough resistance. But if you're running light, I highly recommend going Pirate Skeleton and Lord Warden, right? Again, I don't recommend going basically, I don't recommend going to Pirate Skeleton, because you're already getting major protection, and you don't want that the major protection doesn't stack. It's not like if I'm wearing major protection on 2 different pieces, a set that gives me 2 different pieces of major protection, I get 60% mitigation. No. So you don't want them to compete at all. So don't do that. Instead, if you don't want to run that, you could even run Bloodspawn. I'm going to be testing Bloodspawn actually probably in the BG's video that I put out. I'm going to swap out Pirate Skeleton and Lord Warden and run Bloodspawn and see how I like that. But for now, that's pretty much the build. Again, impin on everything. I have reinforced on my shield. Go with sturdy. Sturdy is the better trait for this. I just haven't transmuted this yet. I'll probably transmute that today. Powered for the sword, you can ignore the enchant. You can put whatever really you want on the back bar. I don't really do anything with heavy attack on my back bar, so I really don't get any benefit off of it. So I might even put an absorb stamina enchant, so I get more stand back, because that's the only time you'll really see me heavy attacking on my back bar, right? We are running the shock damage. We want to try to attempt to proc that minor vulnerability. Again, you can rock Infuse versus Nern. I personally have just stuck with Nern. I will test Infuse to see if I like it better, but I won't do that until I swap over to the Master Lightning Staff, which hopefully I can get this weekend. And for jewelry, we're running all recovery. These are blue. You know, once I get a chance, I'll upgrade these as well. But again, this is the same build I've been running probably for the past, since the like 2 or 3 days after the patch drop. I haven't had any issues. Blue to purple is not going to make the difference between whether you can beat somebody or you can't beat somebody. It's just preferable to have it, because it is still better resources obviously on purple jewelry. Again, so now we're going to talk about the skills. Big change. Because we're running staff, obviously we're running a CC. We're going to run, because I'm running Master Inferno staff, in order to get the benefit of that, I'm running Flame Reach Lightning Staff. Again, Master Lightning Staff will be best in slot, because what I am finding is that Flame Reach is knocking people away from my jabs, right? Which is problematic, right? You don't want anything that, you know, pushes people out of your damage. It would be essentially, it would be like dropping all my AoE skills and then hitting a flame clinch and then knocking people away from the AoE skills. It's like, why'd you put them down in the first place? But I'm still finding some level of success running the Master Inferno staff. So if you have the Master Lightning staff, run that. Run Lightning Clinch. Elemental Drain, people have already talked about it. Such a good skill. I won't really cover it too much. If you're wearing heavy armor, this is a must now, because you're losing your penetration from going from light to heavy. So this allows you to get major breach. It gives you some penetration, 5,280 spell penetration, essentially, and it gives you minor magicka steel, which is really excellent for 24 seconds, and that's 300 magicka every 1 second. So that's really strong, especially because we don't have like a lot of recovery in this build. And the reason why we don't have a lot of recovery in this build, I'm an Argonian, right? Argonian are sustained keens. So we're talking about the rune is down. This elemental drain is in here, giving me a total between those two abilities 500 on top of the 1300 magicka that I have, magical recovery that I have. We're looking at about 1800 magical recovery. Then you can pop a pot, gives you minor intellect or major intellect, and that'll give you some more too. And again, purifying light must have, really good, stacks up damage, helps your burst, incredibly good skill. And then crescent sweep. So previously, again, like I said, this was the big change. This was the big ulti change, and I'm really liking it. Works really effective. You'll be able to see on some of the clips and some of the future clips that how well this actually works. And the fact that it's, you know, it's damn near as spammable is very helpful too. It's magic damage now, and it works almost like Donnie, so anybody in that particular path will get an extra 60% more damage. So you really can pile on the damage with his ability, and it's cheap. Back bar pretty much stayed the same. Devouring Swarm, we already know this is really solid ultimate. Helps like when you're on defense, if you're getting pressured, you got people jumping on you, pop Swarm. Smart people are gonna move out of the way. Dumb people will probably sit there and try to DPS you through the damage. It's just not smart, because you can go from your back bar straight to your front bar and start lining up while you're bursting on them. And if they get caught in that Devouring Swarm while you're bursting them down, they're gonna die. Honor the Dead, we take this obviously for the restoration of 60% of the abilities cost over 6 seconds of magicka. So again, a resource tool is better than Breath of Life, especially if you're, you know, solo or small scale. If you're like Zerging, then, you know, whatever, you can run Breath of Life. Or if you have a build specifically for PvE, then obviously you'll probably take Breath of Life, but there's other things that are better. Extended Ritual, you want Extended Ritual, you don't want Ritual of Retribution. That's the one that gives damage, because you want to cleanse as many negative effects as possible. Again, with the new meta being bleed builds, enchant builds, Torags, pack builds, you know what I mean? You're going to have people trying to put as many, stacking as many dots on you as possible. So you want to get as many off of you as possible. And an extra 2 per cast is much more beneficial than the tiny bit of damage that the Ritual of Retribution gives you, even though it does pull Nightblades out of stealth, right? Total Dark, pretty much a must-have skill. Now, as you notice on both these bars, I am not running a form of major sorcery. And the reason why I'm not running that is because I run Alliance pots, right? And they give me major sorcery. And because I have the alchemy passive that extends my potions for 30% longer, I have only about a 5-second downtime on major sorcery anyway, so I prefer to do that so I can keep Total Dark on my bar and still have my CC, my penetration. If you have to run immovability pots or tripods, like if you feel like that's the only way you're gonna run a Magplar, then I would say you could drop Total Dark. You might be able to get away with dropping Elemental Drain if you're in light armor. If you're in heavy armor, again, I don't recommend it because you're losing out on some damage. And then you can slot it either back bar or the front bar, right? Structured Entropy or Degeneration. Degeneration would be the better morph if you have to drop one of your other skills, right? And last but not least, well, of course, and didn't want to forget about this, Vampire Mist for the line of sight. You guys already know you need this. It's your major expedition, kind of. And basically removes all snares, immunity. It's pretty much, it's your mobility for a Templar. You need it until they give us something that allows us to be more mobile. But if they gave us something that allowed us to be a lot more mobile, then you would hear like a lot of OP claims. And I'm not gonna lie, if Templars were mobile, that would be kind of OP. I have to be fair and impartial. That would, a mobile Templar is a fake Templar. That shit would be crazy. Anyway, let's get right into CP. Warlord 56. These points right here, you can remove these points. My personal preference, sometimes I sprint. Very little I sprint, but Siphoner, you know, you can drop those out, and I would recommend dumping those into Tenacity. It could be useful. I don't really heavy attack a lot, but again, when I do heavy attack, I do like to get as much resources back as possible. So that might be a better place to put them. I'll play around with it. Anyway, must have 56 at a minimum in Arcanist, 43 into Mooncalf, stamina recovery. You want that. Trust me, you want that. Stamina is very important on a Templar, especially if you decide to run Witch Mother's Potent Brew instead of Tri-Stab food. Tri-Stab food for me has been more beneficial. It's helped my survivability because I'm able to block more. If I have to roll dodge, like, you know what I mean, I got some stamina to play around with and still be able to block and avoid a CC. I block cancel a lot and I bar swap cancel, so that's very, very helpful, that extra stamina. 56 into block, 23 into roll dodge. Like I said, I don't always roll dodge, but when I do roll dodge, you know, it is nice to have some reduction in the cost of that. Elfborn, 15%. Bless, 19. If you have a gold back bar, if your back bar sword is gold and it's powered, right, it'll go from 4% to 5%. You essentially probably could drop these points from Blessed and run them somewhere else. Elfborn's a good spot. Elemental Expert, maybe. Spell Erosion, really, really good, obviously, to put it in there. I'm also running 56 into Master at Arms because of the Crescent Sweep. That hits really, really hard. Also, the initial hit from... That affects all your initial hits. So the initial hit off of your Flame Clinch or your Shock Clinch or Reach is very good. And because I'm using a staff now, increase your damage done with light and heavy attack, destruction, and restoration stat by 7. Roughly 7%. That's very, very good. I weave a lot, and you should be weaving as well. With the changes to the to wards in Murkmire, there's no need to put any points into shattering blows. I mean, you can if you want to, but I think wards are they're in a spot now where you can actually beat down through wards without having to try to put points into shattering blows or anything like that. And then 56 into Thermaturge, right? I did remove a lot of points into Thermaturge on after I did some experimenting, seeing how often I can get the exploiter passive, off balance the proc, and it wasn't enough for me to warrant putting 75 points into Thermaturge. So that's basically what we're looking like for our champion points. Again, all in-pin, all max Magicka glyphs on all your stuff. If you're running Witch Mother's Potent Brew, before I get off, if you're running Witch Mother's Potent Brew, I then recommend running tri-stat pieces on your heavy pieces. So that means your head tri-stat, chest tri-stat, and your legs tri-stat. Highly recommend running that if you're opting to run that, right? And as you can see, I'm going to show you what my stats look like real quick. Not super impressive, but really, really good for 1vx situation. So we're looking at 38 spell resistance, physical resistance 35, right? That's not including the fact that, again, we have access now to major protection 50% of the time, right? So you're talking about a tanky build that can kind of put out some damage. Recovery looks a little low, right? 1200, but again, like I said, with the rune, the major breach, which gives you with a minor Magicka still from the distro skill, we're looking at 500 on top of that. If I pop a pot, this is what we're looking like back bar. So Magicka recovery. So we got 1400 Magicka recovery, more than enough with those two skills. It's pushing close to 1900. So I really have enough. Spell damage. Let's swap over to the front bar. Take a look at that. Spell damage 2127. So nothing super, super high like my Hist God build. But again, more than enough. Look at that max stamina pool. We're looking at like 16K. For max stamina. That's really, really good, really, really helpful. Crit resist, we're at 2500. That's the minimum amount of crit resistance I would recommend. Anything lower than that, you should definitely find a way to get some more crit resist, because crit resist is important. Again, so if you have any question, feel free to put it down in the comments below. You have any constructive criticism, or you want to talk to me, ask me questions about the build, I'll be more than happy. I respond to every single person's post. You got something positive to say, cool. If you got something negative to say, as long as it's not some troll shit, I'll still respond to it. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and stay tuned. Right after I get off here, I got that 2v6 clip going on with up at Bruma, so check it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks for supporting the channel as usual, and we got more music. Like I said, I got more music on the way. I got more content on the way. Again, I thank everybody for supporting. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Later.
No, we don't play games, except when we play games.
Well, now,
Finessing my campaign, my squad in the party, you know that that's gang gang. Oh, you see my KD, I'm not talking KD.
well, now.
We not on the same team, you not in the same stream.